Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, SAP BPC 11 version for BW4 HANA. Today, we'll be going over the great benefits and the new challenges that come along with BPC 11. Before we get started, I would like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's event. We've taken a screenshot of an example of the attendee interface. You should be seeing something that looks like this on your own computer desktop. You're currently listening in using your computer speaker system. If you would prefer to join over the phone, please select telephone and the audio pane and the information will be displayed. You will also have the opportunity to submit your questions today by typing in the questions pane on the control panel. You may send in your questions anytime during the presentation. We will be addressing them during the question and answer session at the end of today's presentation. Before we begin, I would like to give a small brief about us at Techwave. Techwave is a global end-to-end IT services and solutions partner, enabling digital transformation for enterprises. We are headquartered in Exton, Pennsylvania, with a local presence in Europe, APAC, UAE, South Africa, and a global delivery center in India. Our alliances with best-in-class partners and over 1,200 employees has made us the trusted digital transformation partner for over 450 customers and counting. With both organic and inorganic growth over the past 12 years, Techwave has packaged a strong suite of services around the 4 pillars: analytics, cloud, digital, and IoT, and we tie them closely to the enterprise core. Our enterprise core provides ERP application modernization along with managed services. The Techwave EPM service offerings range from consulting, advisory, cloud, program management, and support. SAP has been one of our core strengths, and we're very proud to be a certified gold partner. Our company was founded on the ability to offer SAP BI, EPM, and ECC services to our customers. And our SAP practice has been built with a rich experience of over 20 years of industry expertise and a center of excellence dedicated to continuously engage and enhance the ecosystem. With this, I would like to introduce the director of our EPM practice, Umesh Hirma, and the BI practice lead, Padmaja. A brief introduction about our presenters today. Umesh is a director at Techwave Consulting, and he leads the enterprise performance management practice from the Global Delivery Center. Umesh is a master's in commerce with extensive experience in finance and accounting and EPM space. His in-depth understanding of finance domain, coupled with expertise with technology solutions, has enabled Techwave to deliver tremendous value to clients through implementation of integrated EPM solutions. Padmaja is a principal architect at Techwave Consulting. She has over 15 years of industry experience with maximum experience in BW BI HANA and BPS solutions. She has been in implementation and worked for several clients in pharmaceutical, food distribution, and power system industries as a SAP BI HANA consultant. With this, I would like to hand over to the presenters today. And my name is Angela Polmani, and I will be the moderator for today's presentation. Over to you, Umesh.
Thank you, Angela. Good morning, everyone. It's a bright, sunny day here at Houston, Texas. Without wasting any more time, let's hop on to today's topic of discussion, which is BPC 11 version for BW for HANA, right? Before we just go there, a little bit about Techwave's EPM practice. We've been around for quite some time, as Angela mentioned. Even though we are diversified into multiple areas like big data analytics, IoT, cloud, digital, EPM still remains our major service offering, right? And we have a strong track record in this space, and we've engaged in multiple implementation projects, migration projects, and support and and we also offer like on-demand services in this area as well. So having said that, we have a pool of experts, averaging around 11 plus years of experience, and leading the way is our CEO himself, Mr. Raj Gumrapu, and our chairman, Mr. Damodar Gumrapu, who have been pioneers in this area, and have contributed in terms of providing innovative solutions in the area of finance and EPM. Right, so it's part of our DNA, so to say. Right. So we're actually living in a very exciting times where every day you see something or the other new comes up, new technologies emerge, and it's really important for us to kind of understand what they are and what is best for us, and immediately latch onto it. I mean, it's hard for me to believe if I don't, if I were still stuck with those QWERTY keyboard phones, or with those number dialing phones. Just imagine how much I would lose on the functionalities of smartphone, the advantages of smartphone. And I'm just giving this analogy to in context with the latest EPM solutions as well. Like if you don't really latch on to the latest in the technology in these spaces, we can definitely be behind compared to our competition, right? So it's very important for us to kind of get there, understand what's important for us, and then just go with it. And SAP has been really relentless in coming up with innovative options and products, in this space. And last few years, we've really seen multiple innovations and innovative products, which has definitely kept them at the top of the list when it comes to EPM applications. Can we move on to the next slide, Angela? All right. So, we have seen, today we'll be touching upon SAP BPC 11, version for BW for HANA, which is a completely transformational data warehousing solution. We'll touch a little bit upon the architecture, its design principles, what are the different features that it has to offer, and what are the different benefits that we can expect out of this particular product. And a little, we'll also touch upon if you are where we stand today and how do we get there, right? So moving on to the next slide. So well, Padmaja will probably definitely she'll explain it in detail about each of these products, but we look at the past history. BPC has evolved, with multiple advantages, and the prime focus, has been to make sure that there is a reduction in the data redundancy, and how do we get more real time? How do we improvise on the visualization, and how do we make it more integrated with the other systems? So the evolution has been around these pillars. So over to Padmaja.
Thanks, Sumesh. Good morning, everybody. So right now I'll be briefly touching upon what are the these versions has to offer. Each one of them has overcome certain limitations. SAP and Outlook Soft both had their own planning and consolidation technologies earlier. So SAP had its own business planning and simulation technology as a planning application. Also, SAP has introduced BWIP, which is integrated planning, in 2006, thereby allowing the analytical data, which is like your transactional and master data, to be used for the planning models to be built upon. On the other hand, Outlook Soft had a BPC application specifically on the Microsoft platform, thereby having the limitation of database dependency only on the MS SQL database. So after SAP has acquired OutlookSoft in 2007, both SAP and OutlookSoft have worked together to come up with a BPC solution on a NetWeaver platform, thereby making it more database independent. As we move forward, SAP has come up with HANA in-memory technology, and we really started, it has really started the doors for in-memory planning scenarios. So the 10.1 embedded has been evolved, integrating both the BW IP as well as the HANA pack, which is the planning application kit features integrated into one solution, which is BPC 10.1 embedded, thereby giving the advantage to not to copy the data between both the BW and BPC models. So the data redundancy was reduced. And with S4 HANA, it has again opened doors to the real-time planning scenarios, thereby reducing the planning cycles time and the consolidation time. So you can really plan on the transactional data in real time. Coming to today's BPC 11 for BW for HANA, which is our BW standalone environment, we'll see more features and benefits moving forward as we cover more in the other slides. Next slide, please. Let us have a quick look at some of the BW evolutions toward the HANA and what are the different features that SAP added with each of its release. Starting with SAP BW 7.3, if you see, SAP has really optimized and rewritten the code for data loads, thereby increasing the data load performance of up to 40% when compared to the BI7. And it has also introduced the semantic partitions on the year and region based, and also graphical data flow modeling. And also it has provided the hybrid providers, and couple of other features have been provided in 7.3, thereby optimizing performance has been optimized. When it comes to SAP BW 7.4, as you see, the simplification and virtualization were the key areas that were focused in this, thereby introducing the graphical tool, Eclipse graphical tool for the simplified modeling and remodeling. Also, it has introduced the composite providers for the virtual feature, virtual providers, thereby allowing you to access the data without really storing the data physically in your SAP BW. Also, SAP HANA's smart data access allowed the data residing outside the SAP data warehouse to be accessed using open ODS views. This is one of the key developments here. SAP introduced the composite providers to consolidate data coming from various applications and combine BW info providers with the HANA tables and views using your joins and unions. So these are some of the developments that were done in the release, SAP BW release 7.4. Coming to 7.5, we have simplification in terms of semantic groups and Eclipse modeling, Eclipse graphical tool, adding more object editors, and new BW workspace scenario has been introduced with version 7.5. Also, coming to the big data, we have the option of extension nodes to store your warm data, which is wherein your data is not frequently accessed. You can store it in a disk using the extension node. Also, it has provided the option of using Hadoop as your nearline storage. SAP HANA SDI has introduced a new HANA source system through which you can access all your third-party data sources, including your Hadoop and your social handles like Twitter, etc. We'll touch upon more features like on what is the SAP BW 7.5 starter tool is being used for as we proceed to the later section. The core BPC 11 is based on the BW for HANA, which is our next generation data warehouse. So we'll move to the next slide. Over to you, Umesh.
Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry. This is my favorite slide. This actually talks about how the data moves within these different versions, and definitely talking about what are the how does the architecture look like from a data flow standpoint, right? So the BPC 10.1 and prior, the data coming from various sources that we see here from ECC, load files, and non-SAP sources, kind of it's physically stored in the BW layer, and for that to be consumed within BPC, it had to be again replicated in the CPMB cubes, and essentially two sets of the same data, right? And it had its own integration challenges with this particular version for 10.0 and prior versions, right? Coming on to the 10.1 embedded, it's an add-on to the BW 7.4 and 7.5, which is on the NetWeaver platform, and it is both like standalone version of that, and also we have a BW which is embedded within the S4 system with an add-on BPC 10.1, right? Now, this particular version really is one of the most popular ones, on today's date, and it had quite a few advantages, like in the areas of data redundancy. There's a lot of improvement there. Like we don't really have to replicate anything back again in CPMB cubes or whatever. The data virtualization concept has really reduced the data footprint out there, right? And more efficiency by leveraging the in-memory capabilities of HANA. It's definitely on HANA, so more efficiency there. It's using the single source of truth, which reduces the clutter that we have there, and it's just one transactional source and data standardization. It has its own. In all, we can say it delivered on speed, accuracy, integration, and reducing the data footprint. This particular version, right? Now, on the flip side, it also had some limitation in terms of still being on the NetWeaver platform, not really leveraging the HANA platform to the fullest from a data modeling perspective or what have you. Connecting to multiple source systems was again a bit of a challenge within the S4 system. There were some challenges with the amount of volume that can be stored within the embedded BW, about like 20% of the entire volume of S4 information. So and some archiving challenges as well. So with the advent of BPC 11 for BW for HANA, I think most of these challenges were addressed pretty, in a very optimal way, right? So in BW for HANA, the BPC is an add-on to the BW for HANA, and it is a next-gen data warehousing platform as a more integrated solution, both upstream and downstream. And when we say upstream and downstream, I mean the data sources, that multiple data sources can be connected to this BW4 HANA. And as Padmaja just mentioned, we are also talking about the big data tools being connected to this. So it's not just the structured data, structured financial data, which is coming in. It's also the unstructured data, which can be kind of fed into it for our planning or any other operational purposes, right? So the integration is made really possible now, which probably wouldn't have been as much in the earlier versions. Not just that, but the BPC 11 also, from a presentation layer standpoint, it has built-in graphical representation capabilities, visualization capabilities within BPC 11, which wasn't there in the earlier versions. It was predominantly the Excel add-ins that we had, the analysis for Office and the EPMs. But in this version, we also have visualization options, within BPC, right? And not just that, but it is cloud enabled, so it can be connected to the data can be connected to the cloud and cloud analytics, SAP analytics cloud can be connected to this to transmit the data from BPC and leverage all the benefits that you have of analytics cloud, right? So those are a few advantages, and a few things which were different in this particular version is like, it totally got away with the NetWeaver platform. It's completely on HANA platform. So leveraging the HANA platform to the fullest when it comes to data modeling or whatever, right? So there are multiple new features which have been introduced in the BPC 11. Really excited to kind of, dwell further on that, and, yeah. Moving forward to the next slide, I think Padmaja will, dwell further into the specifics of the architecture.
Thanks, Umesh. If you see the architecture of BPC 11, it has provided more integrated options to connect with various third-party sources. If you see Hadoop or your social media, your email, Facebook, all other your sources you can connect through HANA source system, either in form of a direct access, or you can also use the real-time replication. The option is with you if you want to persist your data or you just want to access the data virtually. For both ODP source system is exclusively for all the SAP repositories. So you can just bring in all of your SAP and other BW warehouses data through the ODP source system. From here in the BW for HANA layer, if you see there are workspaces, which is a new feature that has been provided to club your central data with the local data to create or derive new meaningful insights. And there is an analytical engine, metadata manager, and the data warehousing layer. If you see the SAP BPC 11, it has both standard model and embedded model. It supports both standard and embedded. But the only difference, as Umesh suggested earlier, is it is not on the NetWeaver platform. Totally, both standard as well as embedded models have to be moved onto the HANA platform. Embedded is already in the HANA, so standard will be moved into the HANA platform. So all your BW objects that were earlier on the either on the MS platform or on the standard version have to be optimized, HANA optimized here. And if you see the analytics, we have both SaaS model, which is SAP Analytics Cloud, which has all the BI, predictive and big data capabilities. You can have your data visualized more efficiently using SAP Analytics Cloud. You can also leverage the predictive capabilities to further forecast your applications, as well as you have the standard SAP BI analytics, which can be leveraged. You can use the EPM add-in as well as the Microsoft Analysis for Office for both the standard as well as the embedded models. Also, we have the Design Studio for your visualizations that can be used. Move on to the next slide, please. Over to you, Umesh.
Yeah, thanks, Padmaja. Every technical innovation has some, basic principles and a purpose, right? Making the things better and more useful, more suitable to your business, and more efficient, and all that stuff. So I think simplicity, openness, modern interface, performance, these were definitely the design principles, behind coming up with these innovative products, right? Like, you wouldn't want to use the those number the QWERTY keyboard phones, because that nobody would have used these smartphones if they were not simpler to use, right? Like, I mean, if it was complex, then definitely nobody would kind of switch on to the smartphones. It has to be simple. The innovations have to be simple. Now, we're not living in a world where we can say, hey, I want to just use one product and everything has to be in there. Like, for example, for my OTC related activities, I might use one application. For my ledgers, I might use different ERP systems at different locations depending on the suitability, and probably for my HR systems, I can probably use some other applications. But at the end, from a EPM solution standpoint, everything has to really come together, and my EPM solution really has to be so integrated. I mean, at least so open that it can be integrated to any of these systems, right? Like, so that is another thing before anyone can think about the innovation. Modern interface, I guess, the latest ERP system wouldn't have been so popular if they were not so user-friendly. In spite of being very efficient, mainframes just phased out very quickly, and they lost it to these new ERP systems where the interfaces were really strong and very well connected with the users, right? So it has to be. It is important that you have the interfaces that are simple, understandable, and user-friendly. From a performance standpoint, from a finance guy, I would not want to wait overnight to see my numbers. I would want to make decisions on the fly, and I want to be as real time as possible. So I think all these things were probably in the discussions while SAP was coming up with these new innovative products, and definitely with BPC 11, we see those being reflected in the product itself. So Padmaja will walk us through the different what do we find new in the BPC 11 in terms of all these principles, right? Over to Padmaja.
Next slide, please. Yeah, if you see in terms of simplification, the simplification has been done in both the front end as well as the back end. The number of objects, the modeling object types have been reduced from 10 to 4. So both in the virtual layer and as well as in the persistent layer. In the virtual layer, we have knocked off all the multi-provider info set, virtual provider, transient provider into composite provider as well as open ODS view. So open ODS view really helps to access the data outside of SAP. And if you see the persistent layer, we can use the advanced data store object for all your planning and persisting your data, the transactional data especially. And the info object can be used as a master data object. We have a field as well as the info object based modeling, thereby allowing you to do the top down as well as the bottom up modeling. This greatly helps to improve the times when the data modeling time. Great control of data persistency and virtualization has been provided, and support for external structured and unstructured data has been given. SAP BW for HANA has native SQL access, so we can really access the BW models as the BW models have the HANA views generated automatically. So we can just really club the BW models with the HANA models based on this logic, and we can also use the native SQL access to access the BW objects in terms of the generated HANA views. So this is the new feature here. All the SAP BW for HANA objects like query, composite provider, ADSO, info objects can have automatic generated SAP HANA views. Combined data from native SAP HANA SQL access for front-end tools. Okay, coming to the openness, we have various options to visualize your data in terms of SAP Analytics Cloud. You can connect your external data sources as well as the SAP data sources. If you see, we can connect the BI suite and EPM Predictive Business Warehouse to your cloud, and it's bi-directional. You can connect the data from on-premise to the cloud as well as the cloud to on-premise, and report and visualize your data more effectively using the SAP Analytics Cloud, as well as you can use the predictive libraries to forecast your data. Also, there is a new feature here, which is SAP Digital Boardroom, which allows us to use the reports that are built through SAP Analytics Cloud in the form of stories and publish them in your boardroom meetings, and you can just have your decisions taken straight away from the published stories there. Next slide, please. A modern interface. Here we have the HTML5 web interface, which gives us the fresh look and feel, as well as we can use the Eclipse modeling tool, graphical tool to model your objects, SAP BW objects. Also, we can visualize the data through the web reporting and SAP Analytics Cloud. In the web reporting, you have the options to integrate more than one report, and through charts and grids, you can incorporate your charts, graphs into the single worksheet. We have the graphical modeling tool, which allows the IT users, especially, to model their BW objects more easily than compared to the SAP administrative workbench. Next slide, please. Coming to high performance, if you see, all the calculations can be pushed down to the SAP HANA database layer, making it much faster for the planning and closing cycles. Also, we have the system enabled for handling much larger volumes of data with the HANA technology or the HANA database. Coming to the data volumes handling, we have the temperature data tier optimization, which has been introduced. So you can segregate your data according to the usage. The more frequently used data can be segregated as a hot data. All this frequently used data resides in the SAP HANA in memory. You can read and write data as per your reading and writing of data. If it is very frequent, it can go into the hard memory, and if it is warm, the access may be not be very frequent, and you'll be accessing it not very frequently. So the data can reside in an extended node in a form of a Hadoop or extended node in terms of a disk storage, wherein you can scale out and store that data in an extended node. Also, where your data is not accessed, not even frequently, you only access it on a sporadic basis, then your data can go into the cold storage. For this, we have the nearline storage, SAP IQ, or the Hadoop storage you can use to store the cold data. Next slide, please.
No, I think from an integration with the MS Office perspective, finance guys still love the Excels, don't they? You know, all these Excel add-ins were there in the earlier versions. Even though we have introduced the new visualization concepts, finance folks would still love to have their Excel add-ins working, because you know they love to see the numbers on the Excel sheets. They love to compare the numbers in the Excel sheets. So from the Excel integration standpoint, analysis for Office is still the add-in that will be used for BP, that will be valid for the BPC 11 version. And EPM 10 probably would would not be supported in the BPC 11 version, but the standard model, I think you can still go ahead and use the EPM. So there are certain other things which are phased out apart from this, like EVDRE's functions and the unwired. The EPM unwired, which was a mobile function. So I think those are the things which are kind of done away with in this version. Moving on to the next slide. So from a modern visualization standpoint, as we mentioned earlier, I think one of the important things in this particular versions is within BPC, we never had these graphical representation of data and all these modeling capabilities, visualization capabilities within the BPC itself. We always used to use Excels and whatever charts we had to do, probably leverage that. But with this new version, we have visualization options, not just within BPC, but you can extend the BPC information out to Analytics Cloud, and you can utilize all the collaborative tools that we have within the Analytics Cloud and visualization tools that we have within the Analytics Cloud to make it more effective. Right. Moving to the next version. The next slide, please. Padmaja?
Yeah. Here, with the cloud ready, we have the options to deploy the SAP BPC solution both on-premise as well as on the cloud through Azure as well as AWS, Amazon Web Services, or a Google Cloud. You can host or deploy your solution on-premise and cloud as per the choice. And also, we can make use of the SAP Analytics Cloud to connect your data from on-premise to the cloud, and which is your SaaS model, to derive more meaningful insights through the predictive analytics or through the BI analytics for more visualization options, or connect to the big data and derive more meaningful insights. So SAP Analytics Cloud has all the three, the BI analytics, predictive, and big data capabilities in one, which is your public cloud model.
Yeah, and one beauty about the putting all this information on the cloud is also that it is very collaborative, and especially in our planning processes and forecasting activities, it's where it needs a lot of discussions and getting the approvals over the budgets and all that stuff. I think the cloud option is really helpful there in terms of providing that much more efficiency in the entire process. So I guess that's one of the things, by enabling it or making it cloud ready is again a step in the right direction.
Coming to the predictive analytics, we have options to generate predictions in real time or batch, or also you can create predictive models based on existing data. You can connect your data from your BW for HANA or BPC system and start training your models, and then derive the model and then send the data back to your BPC or a BW for HANA system, and then start using it for your planning or forecasting or deriving your analytics out of it. So we have more powerful power of HANA application function library, as well as open source libraries in the R statistical program language. So you don't have to limit your predictive algorithms. You can make use of the extensive open source libraries and then start using the more predictive algorithms.
Yeah, for what it means for a functional guy would be like, it doesn't have to go through the ordeal of doing it all manually. Some of the trends and predictions can be obtained by leveraging this predictive algorithms, which are right there. All that you have to do is just feed in the data and then make use of those algorithms to get more accurate forecast numbers or trends, which can be used for your planning. Next slide, please.
Yeah. Coming to the planning using big data, planning on current or trending data is also made possible by connecting to the third party or the geospatial data or your Hadoop data using the SAP HANA source system, which is enabled to connect to the third party sources. All the big data sources are supported, and you can utilize the structured and unstructured data to derive more meaningful data and take better decisions as per the trends. Also, all your planning is based on the drivers. So the next generation business drivers allow for the transformation of the business, thus moving from the traditional budgeting methods. So the next slide, please.
Yep. Talking a little bit about the product versions and the SAP support, I think this slide clearly lays out that some of the versions are definitely nearing the end of mainstream maintenance. What it means is SAP would stop supporting, on these versions going forward after the date of end of mainstream maintenance, right? So it is what it also means is we really need to hop onto the most viable solution as soon as possible if we are already on the ones which are nearing the maintenance cycle, right? So definitely, of all the options that we have looked out for, BPC 11 has so many good features. Should consider to hop onto this new version, and make use of the best of the options that we have in the BPC, right? Moving on to the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. Here, as you see the paths to the conversion, either if you're on a BPC Microsoft platform, or if you're in your BW IP, or we are on already on a standard or embedded versions, this clearly shows how we can migrate or upgrade, migrate the system to the SAP BPC 11. So if you're on BPC Microsoft, the clearly the variation is very significant. So you have to go for the new implementation. If you're on a BPC standard model, you can just upgrade your BW and BW version to 7.5 and then apply the starter add-on to make it more BW for HANA ready, and then migrate the data using your UJBR tool. Just take the backup and restore the BPC data into the SAP BPC 11 version, thus making it available. So same is for the BW integrated planning. Wherever your BW version you are on, you have to migrate to the BW 7.5 and then apply the starter add-on. And then you can choose your own path when you want to come to the SAP BPC 11. It can be in a phased manner. You don't have to just hurry and then come on to the BW 7.5 and then apply the add-on immediately and then switch on to the BPC 11. So based on the current version and where we are, where the customers are really, they can just choose the options. If they are on the embedded version, currently SAP is not offering any tools to migrate. They are laid out for a later release, so they can just wait for some time and see the progress and then move on to the SAP BPC 11 version on a later date.
Yep, and just so in case you have any questions around this, or we are more than happy to help you. We have worked on most of these versions, and we have extensive experience in implementing and supporting most of these versions in the past. So we've been around for about over a decade now in the BPC space. So we'll be more than happy to guide you and help you make the right choice of the tool in case you need us for anything. And at the end of the presentation, you have our contacts, so you can get in touch with us in case you need more information around what should be your roadmap. Where do you stand today, and what do you need to do to get on to the latest one. Right. So I think from a presentation standpoint about the SAP BPC 11 version, I think we've covered most of the things, and we'll move on to the question and answer.
Thank you, Umesh. Thank you so much. We are now going to begin answering your questions that were submitted during the presentation today. As a reminder, like Umesh mentioned, please feel free to submit your questions. You can submit them today in the questions pane, or you can also email us later. We will go over, due to shortage of time, the 4 questions. Question 1, Umesh and Padmaja, does BPC 11 version for BW for HANA support both embedded and standard models?
Yes, as we covered already in our presentation, if you see, it clearly states that we have the support for both standard as well as embedded model. But the only difference being all your standard and embedded model, standard models were on the MS platform or NetWeaver platforms. So right now, BPC 11 is on the HANA platform. So they have to switch to the HANA platform and migrate their solutions to the BPC 11. But it supports both standard and embedded model.
Okay, thank you so much, Padmaja.
And I think adding to that, there is I think we have to hop onto this analysis for office plugin as EPM kind of is kind of going to be phased out pretty soon. So yes, I think we need to consider all those add-ins versus this. Yeah.
Okay. The second question that we have here is the new developments in SAP BPC that are appealing to both IT and functional business users.
If you see for the IT users, the most appealing one would be the Eclipse user interface. They can start modeling the BW objects using the graphical user interface when compared with the SAP GUI, which is the administrative workbench, is not so appealing. So that would be the best one for the IT users. Not only that, the fewer objects that needs to be developed is one more thing, that making it simpler. The interface is much more appealing and user friendly, making IT users' job easy. So the objects have been simplified, right? So that makes it easy.
Okay.
From the business user perspective, the development effort, the development cycle will be shortened and it will be quicker when compared to the earlier versions.
Yeah, and then from the end user perspective, as we just mentioned, visualizations is a major change. Speed is definitely going to be, it's going to be much faster because it's leveraging all the HANA technology out there, and integration, faster integration. Don't have to wait for the data to get integrated or all that stuff. So I think it's all in all a great product. Yeah.
Okay. So the third question, I think we will have time for a couple of questions. What are the major drivers to choose between BPC optimized for S/4HANA and BPC 11 version for BW4HANA?
The first thing, if the customers or the users are having S/4HANA or a Simple Finance as one of the option in their landscape, then they can adopt the real-time planning, which is through SAP BPC optimized for S/4HANA. If the users already have business warehouses and they want to consolidate and their operational data as well as the analytics, and then do the financial planning, they can go for the BPC 11 version for BW HANA. Wherein they can also get the data from external sources in terms of big data, the unstructured data, as well as the third-party planning tools as well. So BPC 11 would be for the customers who have the external data sources and third-party planning tools to be combined. So that would be the way to go.
Great. Okay. We'll take one last question. Will these new developments impact our current versions of SAP BPC? And is BPC 11 version for BW4 HANA just an upgrade?
The current BPC 11 version doesn't have any impact on the existing versions. Either it is a standard or a embedded version that you are currently on, it doesn't have, BPC 11 doesn't have any impact on your current versions. So it's just another flavor that has been added. So based on the requirement and the landscape that you are adopting, you can just go for the BPC 11, or you can just maintain your old versions until the maintenance end date from SAP.
Okay. Umesh, do you have anything else to add in?
No, I think, it also, the development of SAP BPC for Microsoft will fully continue. So it's not that, it's just going to go away. So yeah, that's about it.
Great. Thank you, Umesh, and thank you, Padmaja. Thank you, everyone, for attending today's webinar, SAP BPC 11 version for BW4 HANA. We have a few more questions from you, but we will be sending you an email due to the lack of time. Meanwhile, if you have further questions, please feel free to email Umesh and Padmaja in their contact email address here. You will also receive a follow-up email within 24 to 48 hours with a link of today's webinar. And on behalf of Techwave and our presenters, thank you so much for joining us today and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.